celebration, and we are connected from around the world. So right now, in the furthest east, we have the New Zealand and Australia, and it's 2 a.m. Sunday in New Zealand, and it's noon in Sydney, Australia, and it's 8 o'clock in Nanjing, and we will be going to Nanjing shortly, and it's 5 o'clock in Cape Town, and we will go there shortly, and also 3 o'clock in Cairo, and it's 8 in the morning in New York. And I guess the people are sleeping right now in San Francisco on the Pacific. But you are here, and we're so happy to see you. I just want now, we are from all around the world. Would you go to 3 dots down there on participants, find name, click and rename, and state which city and which country you're logging on from. It would be amazing to see, and also feel free to use the chat while you're attended, and you could also use captions, which is very useful, because I'm not, as you've already noticed, I'm not a native English-speaking person. So use captions. Then it's easier for you to follow what is being said. It's also down there on the 3 dots on more in your. So we're here. We have a full moon in this very minute. We have a full moon that we're under, and we have a big umbrella, which is the IA Global, and we're here for the Enneagram community in the world. I'm a naive, romantic believer in world peace, and this is world peace in a small scale. And the theme for this year's Enneagram, World Enneagram Day, is the Enneagram and different world perspectives. And let's jump in right away, and I'll call upon the president of the IEA, Milton Stewart. He's from Texas, but that's not where we find him today. Where are you, Milton?
I am currently in Nanjing, China.
What are you doing in Nanjing? It's a nice place, I guess, but what are you doing there?
I am at our IEA regional conference in China from our IEA China affiliate and having an incredible time learning so much.
I guess you have also been a speaker at the conference, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've spoken twice so far. Our pre-day workshop, and I spoke earlier today around inclusion.
Wow. Isn't that something, when we had the World Enneagram Day, to talk about inclusion? That's what we're here for.
Yes.
So why do we celebrate the World Enneagram Day, Milton?
I think one of the biggest reasons we celebrate World Enneagram Day is to, one, make sure that we have a time that we're all connected globally in some way, in some form. It's very important, especially now that we are a community and we see each other and we feel each other and we know that we are here for each other. We have a special language called the Enneagram. And when we speak it, we understand each other. We create space for each other. And we're people who, when we're present, we help change the world just from how we are being, not necessarily what we say, but just how we operate and move in the world.
Wow, that's something. Why the IA Global is celebrating, platforming this World Enneagram Day? Why is it us?
It's important for us as IEA Global to celebrate it because we understand that the integrity of the Enneagram matters. How the Enneagram is spread and shared with people around the world, because it's a beautiful map, tool, however you want to call it. It is a beautiful system that allows people to truly come in contact with who they truly are deep down. And it's something that connects us deeply together. And it's very important for us to notice, like, how can we continue to share this so that we can continue the integrity of the Enneagram? Because it's one powerful tool. Everyone here knows it, right? But anything that has power can be used in many different ways. And so the IEA Global, we're trying to make sure this tool is used in a wonderful way that brings people together and it doesn't divide people. So I'm excited to have World Enneagram Day every single year and to have so many people from around the globe here, because it's amazing. And I don't know if we recognize how amazing it is, but it's amazing to be able to go almost any place in the world and find someone who understands the Enneagram and who's doing the work to keep us connected.
I really second that. It's beautifully said. And actually, this past week, our newest affiliates, Australia and New Zealand, have been celebrating their inauguration of their affiliate, and they've had several meetings during this week. And we'll also shortly hear from Gloria and also Egypt, which has had a conference or a meeting today. So I'm suspecting, Milton, you're very close sitting to Gloria, are you?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
So, hi.
Oh, Gloria.
Hello, I'm from IEA China, Gloria.
China.
Yes, I'm with Milton. I'm really excited to have Milton with us. And then we have a great conference starting yesterday with around 60 people for the pre-conference workshop. And today we have around 120 people, not at the greatest conference we have. The greatest we have in Shenzhen is around 400 people. But this year, whatever this, yeah, the economy, people schedule, things like that. But then we have around 120 people, but then we're enjoying the event. And then we are going to share a video later on about how we are doing here from this part of the world. And it's the 9th conference. We have the biennial conference. We have Russ also doing an online section with us, and then we have Gail, Malcolm, and Eureka from Mongolia. And so we have 30 people, teachers doing 3 tracks, doing an AI versus how it's become more tough with being a human. But there's a lot of great insights about, yeah, we shouldn't be afraid of AI, but at the same time, how we come back to our center, thinking, feeling, and getting grounded. So there's really a lot of good insights from the people. We're excited. And then we're looking at
Beautiful.
2028. Yeah, 2028. Hopefully Milton will be back again because China loves him. And then there's a lot of people reaching out, also looking at how they can also connect with the international community. So I think that's good. And 3 main areas here. Youth, I think youth is very important because of AI. People kind of quote unquote disconnected from action, feeling. So we want to do a lot more youth work. Another area is about team. So people getting together with each other is important. And also I think about reaching out to a new perspective, creativity. So I think we're waiting for Russ book to come out, and then hopefully we'll have some more project with him because I think Russ loves Asia.
Yeah, he does. Thank you so much, Gloria, for giving the highlights from your conference and even the topics from for the upcoming conference in 2028. In the meantime, we will be having the Enneagram experience in Laval, which is Montreal. And
we have 2 short video for you. So
okay,
see
go
if,
ahead.
Malcolm can do it with.
Okay, hold on. Hold up.
Really?
Okay.
I'm getting it. Hold on. I'm getting it. I know I'm logged in. Let me.
I could give you a minute, Milton. So, Marga, could you say hello? You're leading the next 3 hours block with the Spanish speaking affiliates. And
That's
could you
it.
say hello?
Hi. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
So play
Hello.
this one. Hello from China. So we are playing a video. Can we do that now?
Yeah,
Okay,
if you're happy.
Gloria, 1 second. I just wanted to say hello to everybody. And from the affiliates committee, we're so happy we're having this amazing participation from different affiliates. We have right now 24
Lovely.
different affiliates. So, and
Great.
today we're having a huge representation of all this beautiful international community in this event. I'm so
Great
happy
work.
to see you all here. And as Tom says, I will see you in 3 hours for the second block, the second part of it,
Mm,
with Latin Enneagram community. It's going to be
yeah.
the participation
Yeah. Very good.
of the Latin affiliates, some of them in Spanish, but don't worry, we'll have translation into English. Thank you to the organization for that. So thank you. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you later. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Marga.
Thank you. So we are playing the video. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Play the video, please.
Yeah. Get all of this.
Oh, Milton, it seems like there's no sound in the video. Can you hear me?
That's okay. Let's see the pictures of the smiling faces from Nanjing, the regional conference in Nanjing. It's okay, Milton. Just play without. We need to do.
Yeah.
Go
So
on.
we also have a slogan for you.
Hold on.
So we're waiting for the second video from.
Okay. Okay. You're not hearing the sound, correct?
Okay. It's also okay without the sound, Milton. Considering the time, Milton, we have to run it now, and we could do it without the sound. A big crowd from Nanjing, the regional conference, with Gloria and Milton in the middle, and smiling faces around. They're doing something. I guess, Milton, we have to move on. Thank you so much for
Move on. No worries.
your insight from Nanjing, and all the best for the rest of the conference. Stay safe, and thank you for inspiring us with interesting topics. So all the best to you in China. And we will be moving westwards. Thank you. We will be moving westward, Egypt, and we will be seeing the president in Egypt, Rania. And I hope you're here, Rania. I haven't seen you yet, but
I'm
I
here.
guess you're good. There you are. Wow,
Yeah.
good to see you. We're 6
Good
minutes
to see you
late.
again.
That's all.
It's okay.
So you're the president of IA Egypt.
Yes.
You and your amazing team of volunteers arranged a fantastic conference in February, which I was fortunate to attend. How was it for you personally, really?
Well, actually, the journey started before the conference, Tom. It's like, because as you know, preparing for a conference takes a long time. So it was basically 1 year ahead, and it coincided also with me taking the lead of leading the affiliate in Egypt. They were both challenging times and blessed times. And it was a very nice opportunity actually to see on the ground, day by day, the work that we say that we are doing, how it is part of our everyday life, and in action, what comes up, what can we pass through together to be able actually to pull something like the conference. So it was an amazing experience actually this previous year, working with the group of beautiful volunteers who volunteered to work on the preparation of the conference. As you said, we all felt the sort of the magical flow that happened inside the conference, and I believe this is pretty much a product of what was practiced the year before in terms of being mindful of what each one of us brings to the process, how we see the world differently, where we can collaborate, and where we can also sometimes be challenging for each other and work with this day in, day out.
I will be going back to you and hear about what's happening in a team when you're working together. But very briefly, you've been arranging World Enneagram Day locally.
Yes, it's actually running in parallel now. It's like this is the second World Enneagram Day we have been arranging. Last year, we managed to have an in-person event for a whole day. This year, we opted for an online event because currently in the Muslim world, we have vacations. It's like the feast vacation, so in-person was not possible. We still arranged an online gathering that has already started maybe like 3 hours ago and is still going on, where we hosted a very nice discussion, roundtable discussion with our panelists that were there supporting the efforts of IA Egypt. We actually had an interesting juncture where I would call it divine intervention, where we came across two beautiful human beings who accepted our invitation to be part of our International Enneagram Celebration Day, who actually had firsthand experience with Claudio Naranjo and are doing SAT work somewhere around the world. So this is what I would call divine intervention. It just happened maybe like a month before the World Enneagram Day. It came together also nicely. And I believe we had also a lot of representation, a lot of people attended, not only from Egypt, but from abroad as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so important that we honor our lineages, and Naranjo is certainly one of the bigger contributors to the personal Enneagram. So going back to your team, how is it to work so closely in a team? How is it for you? I know you're one, and you probably know your type in meeting with other persons, don't you?
Of course, I have seen it like, just jumping up in my face probably every single day. And the the reminder and the calling all the time to not go with this first, thing that comes up, and to actually take a moment, breathe, and see what is there now and how can we work with it. So it's not an easy task. I know we all know what we are called to do, but experiencing it through challenging times, and when you have a certain timeline where you have to move things through and to make things happen, is not always an easy task to fulfill. So it was basically 1 year of experiencing my fears coming up, soothing them, and then shifting my attention to something different, looking, opening my ears to listen to what people need to say, have to say, can contribute, and seeing the beauty really that each member of the team brings to the team in his or her own way, and seeing how can we put all this together in synergy to move on and bring something beautiful forward. It was a big learning for me.
Yeah. When you meet yourself like that, when things are really hard and struggles and there's conflicts and you need to resolve something, how is it? How is your Enneagram type and your instinct working together? Who's first? Who's second? Are they blended, or how is that?
I lead with the one, like you said, okay, with the sexual one. So it's kind of a counter type, okay? So it's like not the usual thing with the one. But I would say is that at times of conflict, I needed to be very mindful of what's happening in my body, my sensory world. This gave me great insight into catch the reaction while it's coming up, because it will come up indefinitely, okay? But catch it as early as you can and breathe around it and try to really soothe yourself to do something different. So a lot of times it was like, holding myself back, calming down the kind of fire that would move up from my belly up, opening my mind and my thoughts to think and receive a different way of how I am seeing things. So it was basically working with all the three centers to try and see something different. And my clue was very much my body. It's like, what is happening in my body?
So is that your anchor? How do you say you pull yourself back and soothe yourself? What is your anchor? Do you have an anchor?
It's yes, my anchor is always, actually I have this a gesture that I have sort of taught myself. So whenever I know I feel something is being revved up for myself, I hold my thumb like this, okay? And this reminds me to sort of come back to the present moment, come back, okay? And then listen. Listen what is there, what is being said, okay? And be aware of your own reactivity and what it brings and how it can be a block in the way between what is being said and what you are pushing forward. Because I have this tendency when I'm not aware to like push things the way I want them. This is my instinct, of course, my sexual instinct moving forward.
I'll remember that, because also I had the challenge to, when I have a sensation in my body, being a body type, I so easily just go ahead in my head. But if I stay tuned, listen to the body, I might stay centered and have a better way of communicating.
Yeah.
So I guess there is within even a team working together for a conference, there are different cultures, and there are different social cultures in Cairo. There's different cultures between Alexandria and Cairo and Abydos, or all around there are different cultures. And not speaking of other countries, Could you say something about cultures and in your perception, Rania?
Yeah, well, it's like you said, the team that was there being put together to work for the conference was coming from different places in Egypt. Majority, of course, they came from Cairo, but again, even people who are in Cairo, they have different cultural backgrounds or aspects, how they were raised, their familial backgrounds. It brings a totally different overlay. Okay, and we have people from Alexandria, so yes, there were this multicultural, if we can say so, people with their education systems being different and somehow. And again, I view this as a lot of richness. It brings a lot of richness to the work, provided we are mindful enough of it. So it's like I can stand in my position and state, no, this is not how we do it here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is of course I'm very familiar with and I can do very easily. And then again, stop yourself, okay, and think about what this cultural background is bringing. How does this influence the way people see things? And then at the end of the day, my audience is multicultural. So if I come only from a one cultural stand, my chances of missing my audience altogether is very high. So the more I'm able to bring this cultural diversity in, the higher the chances also that I am meeting the cultural diversity of the audience and participants of the conference. But this needed to be an ongoing reminder all the time, all the time.
What's most painful for you, Rania? It's a
Well,
terrible question, I know.
I know, I always know some question like this will be coming from you, Tom. Painful actually would be for me, I would say, moving through the whole year and working with the conference is seeing that at some points I had to make tough decisions that were in the best interest of the conference and in making it happen, and seeing that these decisions, how they have their impact on people, whether it being the team or it being the presenters who are coming or the audience at large. It needed to be done. I was aware of the urgency or the importance of these decisions to be done. And I could feel in my heart also the pain for these decisions where they were made. For example, a certain team member that was not fitting well within the subgroup, being shifted or relocated somewhere. And even sometimes parting ways and saying that it's not possible to continue working on the team. Even believe me, on the day where we were sending the replies to the speakers and saying who's accepted and who's not accepted, it was a very lengthy process of going through the results and seeing who's there and who's coming here, with lots of factors to be considered in and weighed in. And I could literally feel the pain in my heart as I knew that now the responses were going out to the speakers. I would have loved to have everyone in, but there is a capacity. I cannot go beyond this capacity. So I needed to be selective and I needed to choose. So I only have 30 slots that I can accommodate people in. So these were the painful moments, I would say.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I've been through that process myself a couple of times. We established, Rania, last year that you are a good person and making tough decisions like that. So I can only imagine it's hard for you to say no and stay firm with that.
Yeah. Opposite to what people actually would think, within the organizing team, the rest of the team, whenever there was, any discrepancy, they would go and tell people, we have our president is a one, so she won't let anything pass that is not correct or that is not proper or anything. So they use this alibi a lot to sort of move their way through. And I could, of course, recognize the pain in my heart that no, it's not an easy thing.
Thank you so much for sharing, Rania. Do you have a closing remark that you would like our big congregation around the world listen to?
I would like to, to end with a reminder for all of us is like why we're here, why we're doing this work, okay? And that to revert always back to our intentions, because I believe that we have good intentions to start with, okay? They can be distorted along the way. Of course, we're human beings and it gets messy at times, okay? But taking this moment, and if you remember, this is also the thing that I said on stage during the conference. Let's revise our intentions. Let's always remind ourselves why we're doing what we are doing. May this be a compass for us moving forward.
Thank you, Rania. You're inspiring my naive belief in world peace by your words. Let's redesigning ourselves to our purpose. Yes. Thank you so much, Rania. All the best for your presidency and the rest of the day and all that. And we're moving to your colleague, Khaled.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Rani,
Hello,
and hello,
alaikum.
everyone there.
How are you, Khaled?
Wa alaikum assalam. Lovely to see you, Tom.
You too. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for staying there, staying with us. So you're the leader of the Consciousness Academy in Europe and in Egypt, and you're churning a lot of students through your school. And why did you make the school? Why did you set up the school?
Yeah, what a question. Yeah. So first of all, it's lovely to be with you here today and this amazing effort by IEA Global, and how every year you're expanding it and making it deeper and more profound than the year before. So thank you and the entire team at IEA Global for all the efforts. Earlier today, we had a lovely panel with my amazing colleagues from Egypt, where we were discussing the current times. But I guess now the talk is more about the school and, let's say, the impact of the school or what the school brings forward. I'd like to start with a question I was asked in 2019 in Portugal. There was the conference, the IEA conference in Portugal, is the first one I spoke in at the time. And after my speech, someone came up to me and said, why did the Enneagram spread so fast in Egypt? Now, I had been teaching my program, which was, let's say, the first expansive program. It was not the first Enneagram teaching in Egypt, but it was the first full program. It was a 1-year program. And I had only been teaching it for like 2-3 years, but then suddenly everyone was hearing about the Enneagram, coming to it. So it was really a very powerful question. Why? Why did suddenly everyone in Egypt be talking about the Enneagram? So many people start applying to be accredited professionals. So many schools started to show up, so many teachers. And I remember the answer I got at that time, and I still hold to it, was the spiritual and religious traditions were meant to always act like a mirror for our psyche and our spirit, hold societies together, that's the social dimension, and help us heal and connect to our individual and collective essence. And with time, especially in the modern times, the last 300-400 years, the very objective, materialistic worldview that was starting to dominate the world started emptying these sacred traditions from their spiritual depths and even their psychological depths. They became more of rituals, traditions, things that separate us, not connect us. And I come from a region that is naturally very spiritual and very, I don't want to say psychological, but self-reflective, where as many people would come and say when they would attend the conferences in Egypt, Rani was just talking, we can talk about God, the divine essence. We can talk about it non-apologetically. We talk about it, this is it. But there was nothing touching the soul anymore. People were thirsty. And it was amazing that the Enneagram became a tool that talked to the depths of humans, talked to our longing, talked to our pain, talked to our suffering, talked to our stuckness, talked to our what we're trying to reach, the transcendent and the immanent, the external, al-zahir, and the internal, al-batin. It talked to all that without having to touch religion. It's respecting everyone's religion, respecting everyone's belief system, but at the same time waking up places in us that we were thirsty for. And that's not just in Egypt. I would say in the region, maybe even all humans today are having that longing, something that no longer carries, how can we say it, religious language, which unfortunately is losing its impact, even though that was the thing that holds us together, yet at the same time, wake up the sacred within us. And I think that's the formula that got put together earlier in the work, because it came, this is now answering your question, what got me here? Because it actually came from a personal journey. I mean, myself, a professor of engineering, I worked in aerospace. I was one of the founders of the Egyptian Space Agency. I worked in renewable energy. I worked in research and development. So it was a very professional life. But there was emptiness. There was a seeking. There was something always calling. And I used to think that's my issue. But now, years and years of teaching so many amazing people, I realized, no, that calling is in everyone. Rumi used to always, in his poetry, say this, come home, whoever you are, whatever you've done, just come home. This calling home is within everyone. And because it was my personal journey of looking for the way home, it started also touching those around me in helping them find their way home. And I did not find in everything I've studied and I've been through, nothing that can describe the depths of the journey home as precise and as profound as the Enneagram. So it became a journey of uncovering the different layers. The Enneagram can take you as deep as you're willing to go. You can see it from the behavioral or the structural level, which is this just the surface level, which again creates silos and separation, just like belief systems. But then you can start looking at it from our motivations and fears and desires, and then our mental structures, and then even our archetypal structures, our mythological structures. Every type has its own mythology, its own worldview that it lives in. So you can just keep on going deeper and deeper, even into metacognition and meta-awareness with the Enneagram. You can layer on it any kind of worldview to understand the human condition in any time, in any place, in any state. And that became the journey of myself through the Consciousness Academy, through my students who themselves became teachers and started either teaching with the academy or starting their own schools. It became like a ripple effect of finding meaning, finding purpose, finding truth, finding essence.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I honor your journey, and the ripple is being felt even in Norway, listening to you. Khaled, you're using the expression integral perspective, and that's also a means to bring cultures together. How is that?
So when we look again from the surface on humans, on systems, on beliefs, on traditions, they look so separate from each other. The integral perspective is actually looking into these core components that we are all made up of, that with slight differences make us look different while we're all, again, built from the same components. I mean, if you look at the human body, look at this coal here. No two people look the same. But if you look on it from a chemical and a physical and perspective, we're actually all the same. Just a bag of nitrogen and hydrogen and some potassium, and a little sodium here, and that's what it is. And when you go into the psyche and the spirit, it's exactly the same thing. We're all so unique, yet the building blocks are all the same. You can go again from the physical to the psychological, the psyche with its sensations and emotions and thoughts and stories and memories and imagination, what Ibn Arabi used to call the imaginal world, where the world that creates this physical world, that this becomes a shadow of it, a reflection of it. And then deeper than that, you go into what they used to call the spiritual, and I like to call the archetypal. And when you look at the Enneagram types, they are archetypal structures, each built upon a perspective, a way of looking into the world, what we call a stage of mind, how the mind is expanding to see the world in an ever more expansive way, a stage of heart, a stage of connection to what is beyond my limited being, what we call the transpersonal, that which connects us all together. You look at all the sages of all time and how they all reach this belief of oneness. It's as if you go deeper and deeper until you realize I am just looking at me in you, and you are I, and I am you, and we're all one. So this is this stage of heart that reaches from, I call it, from fragmentation to multiplicity to unity, to oneness to unity. And oneness and unity in Arabic have two very unique words. There is wahid, which is one. And oneness has a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. But then there is ahad, which is complete, undivisible or indivisible unity. It has no parts. Even in the Quranic verse, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, Allah, the source, is ahad, is unity. It's not one. It's unity, means indivisible. It is complete, and that is all of us and beyond. So being able to see all these components, from fragmentation to multiplicity to oneness to unity, and reflecting our journey on it, which symbolically on the Enneagram circle would be from the surface, from the circumference towards the center. Where at the center there is no time, there is no space, there is no fragmentation, there is no multiplicity. And if we don't wake up to that inner journey towards the center, we get lost in an outer journey, what I call the trap, seeking idealized states that we can never reach. That's where we fall into the traps of fixation and passion and even unavailability. So this movement inwards becomes this movement of integration. And even if you look at the circle of the Enneagram, as you go in, we just get closer and closer and closer. So it's not about changing type or connecting to types. It's just about moving inward, and then you get closer to everything and everyone.
How is that related to cultures and understanding cultures?
Of course, cultures are lenses. Lenses, collective lenses that we grow up in. And I must say we're in a very blessed time. I see that we all grew up in it's like an amazing time where all the cultures are exposed to each other. But you can imagine just 50 or 100 years ago, when cultures were so separate from each other that lens is taken for reality. That's why it was very common that everyone believes that this is the right way, this is the truth, this is the path, not on the path, but this is the way. But today we have this connection that we can, yes, initially get shocked from each other's cultures because we're all so different, but then it makes us question our own structures and systems, which is a way of waking up. Is it really? Does it have to be this way? Why am I stuck in this perspective? What can I learn from what you say? And if you always remind yourself that no one is 100% right and no one is 100% wrong. Everyone has a glimpse of the truth. Then the cultural perspective becomes a lens, I would say, how can I say it? A telescope or a microscope or a lens that shows us a greater part of reality, going beyond your boundaries, beyond your limited system. So cultures, of course, all have their worldview. And you need to initially, when you talk to people, talk to them within their worldview. You cannot start by challenging people's worldviews. You have to satisfy their worldviews. You have to respect, you have to honor the sacredness of a worldview. But then, after that, you have to start very slowly and gently and mercifully pressing upon the boundaries of that worldview so that the person themselves can go back and look within and ask, what is beyond these borders that I have created upon myself? And this is where expansion happens. This is where growth happens. This is where the heart starts to widen up to embrace more and more of reality, more and more of al-haq, the truth.
Listening to you now, Khaled, it's gives me a reminder. I've listened to you in person a couple of times, and I'm being touched in my heart to you. And why is that? Why are you touching my heart? What is it in your trans? It has to do with me as well. I know I have to be open, but what is it in your language worldview, as you said, now, that you're transmitting from your heart? Why so? How?
I mean, you almost answered what I said I was going to say, because you're a beautiful person, Tom, and you know how much I love you and how close our hearts are. But if I would give a more general answer, I remember one of my Sufi teachers. He was talking to this fanatic who was, we are the right people, everyone is wrong. And he used to say, and he used the word Sufi, but I will replace it with the word seekers. The seekers' hearts are much closer to each other, even if coming from different religions and traditions and cultures. The seekers' hearts are much closer to each other than people that might be from the same religion or culture, but from different paths, let's say, from fanatics or something like that. So I think it's this, that people in places like this, we're all seeking. And actually, I think all humans are seeking. It's just that we are gifted sometimes this moment of awakening where it becomes a truthful search for the truth. And these seekers after truth, these searchers after truth, their hearts touch each other, regardless of where, even without language.
Very much so, Khaled. So, what's your vision now for the future? What's the tool, the Enneagram tool, useful for in this connection?
So looking at the Consciousness Academy now has been 11, 12 years going, and we have even the programs of the Academy, which we all built organically inside. I built them by connecting different fields. So the Enneagram with the integral consciousness, with transpersonal psychology, that has been the work. And lately, the newest layer that is, let's say, emerging, it is unfolding over the last year and a half, has been it's a program I call the Divine Harmony, where it's looking at the archetypal masculine and feminine energies in the universe, not as gender, but as powers, as currents. I like to call them as currents flowing within us, and how these shape our perception of ourselves and the world around us, and how these, being seen from an Enneagram perspective, create an even more powerful way of looking into these balance of forces, of structure and softness, and how these opposing forces create the life that we live and the world that we live in, and how the imbalance in these masculine and feminine divine forces within us create a lot of the disturbance that happen in our lives and in our cultures and civilizations even. So this has been the program that's unfolding. I like programs to unfold, bit by bit, just workshop by workshop. And this is what's unfolding right now. So hopefully in a while we'll have like a full program of looking into these energies, these currents of divinity, of life, and then reflecting them through the lens of the Enneagram.
Beautiful. I really hope so. I'll give you an impossible task. in 1 minute, I know you've been discussing this feminine and masculine. You have 1 minute, Khaled. What do you say?
About the feminine and masculine?
Yeah.
It's about balancing the opposing forces within us. These opposing forces, when we are not aware of them, they become dualities, where one is good and one is bad, one we seek and one we escape. But then when we realize and understand these opposing forces within us, they move from dualities to polarities, an infinity sign. And then with the infinity sign, there is a flexible flow of light, of energy within us, where we can hold them both sacredly, respectfully at the same time. Power with mercy, wisdom with imminence and with life and with action. Holding all these opposing forces instead of labeling and judging outside or inside.
Wow. Wow, Khaled, thank you so much. That's the seed to what you just said. Embracing polarity and having the flow. Oh, I have goosebumps all over my body now. Thank you so much for sharing, and all the best for your life and the rest of your day.
Thank you, Tom, and to you too. And
I have
everyone.
a short question. Is Hanan a student of you?
Well, she can introduce herself then.
Yeah, she can. So thank you, Khaled, and we're calling Hanan Sain Eldin.
Yes, Tom. How are you?
Good.
I'm glad to be with you all today, and Dr. Khaled, Rania, and all of people here.
Yeah, good.
Opportunity.
So, are you a student of Khaled, or is Khaled a student of you, maybe?
Dr. Khaled is my great teacher in Enneagram. Sure.
I suspected that. So, what's on your mind today, Hanan? I'd like to hear. You're working as a coach.
Yes, I have a lot of search in Enneagram and coaching together, and I'm now or today will introduce of Enneagram and the laws, how to use Enneagram in coaching session.
Good. So I believe you have a presentation, Hanan. So tell us about the laws of the Enneagram in the coaching.
Yes, today.
Yeah, go ahead and share your presentation if you like.
Okay, can I share PowerPoint screen slides?
Yes, you could try, or you could help get some help if you don't.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I can see your slide. Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
How are you, Dr. Khaled? I'm glad to see you.
Lovely to see you, Hanan. Lovely to see you and to see your work spread and shine in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Khaled. Okay. Minute.
Yeah, go ahead, Hanan.
Okay. Hello, I'm glad to be with you today and proud to have the opportunity of this event to speak about the importance of Enneagram as a strong tool in every coaching session. On the behalf of Nine Corners Academy, what makes us special is preparing a new generation of professional coaches and Enneagram teachers, providing them with theoretical and practical materials that helps them to focus on significant difference in cooperation and people's lives. As As a founder of the Hanan Zain Academy, I am a specialist in clinical psychology and a professional coach, as well as an accredited Enneagram teacher. My long-term passion is understanding the human psyche and analyzing its motivation. These are the major components in my professional pathway, and I am fully dedicated to fill the gap between behavior modification and Enneagram coaching. My mission is to empower individuals to transform self-discovery into practical steps that improve their lives and relationships. We will talk about the fundamental laws of using Enneagram in coaching and the 45-minute technique as a practical application of the laws. I have reached this level after a long search in Enneagram and coaching. The 45-minute technique will benefit you if you are a life coach and if you want to start a successful coaching career, plus if you are making sessions for family consultations. Also, if you are not a specialist, this can help you master your inner thoughts, as well as the technique helps us determine the roots of the problems easily. My story began when I studied coaching for the first time and got my certificate in an accredited school, but it was difficult to have an effective session that me and a client are satisfied with. I decided to start from scratch and take a step forward, and completed again 10 hours of mentoring with a professional mentor. During this time, I observed many repeating patterns in my clients that ultimately allowed me to master my technique. Now, I will discuss the fundamental laws of using the Enneagram in my coaching practice, and afterwards, I will explain how to apply these concepts with a 45-minute technique using type 6 as an example. And please, type 6, be attention with me. We have 4 major laws. The first one, the law of infinite complexity. This principle is all about anti-boxing. Remembering a person is a soul with a type, not a type with a soul. As coaches, we must never refer to clients by their type, because you are coaching a human being who is fluent by their environment, culture, and personal experiences. Ultimately, the Enneagram is a lens to view their patterns, not a cage to confine their potential. The second law is the law of internal leadership. This principle is all about anti-diagnosis. The coach is the witness and the client is the judge. A coach can offer a mirror of observation, but they must never impose a type on anyone. Only the client can truly confirm the internal motivation that matches a specific point on his type. The third law is the law underlying motivation. This principle is all about core drive, fixing the root, not the fruit. A professional coach must target the core fears and desires of his client that drives their behavior. allowing the client find their own ways to shift their patterns. Finally, the law of facilitative presence. This principle is all about anti-lecture. Coaching is an inquiry, not classroom. And the coach facilitates the client self-observation rather than teaching Enneagram theory. This leads us to the 45-minute technique as a practical application of those four major laws. I can say that technique can be cleared on one session, taking only 45 minutes. To explain the technique in 3 steps. First, we get the real goal for the client. And the second one is a deep exploration inside the client, providing them metaphor and determine the cycle that match their personality type. This process makes them to find a suitable solution for themselves. And finally, we build the action plan based on the optimal solution for them. Let me give you an example on type 6 using the technique. Now we will imagine a Q&A between me and type 6 in a coaching session. This conversation highlights the core of type 6 who is motivated by a deep need for security and certainty. He often feels threatened and he struggles to trust the future. Now, let's do exercise and take 2 minutes to read this conversation. And everyone, please determine the repeating pattern for type 6 between these keywords with red color. And also you're free to use any words. Again, this exercise to read this conversation between me and the type 6, and everyone here can share in the chat with the cycle and the repeating pattern which type 6 goes through. Okay. Thank you so much. It is very important to ask the client permission before sharing the cycle with them. Before that, we can show the, after that, we can show the cycle and say, based on your answers, and take care based on the client answers, not my opinion as a coach. Based on your answers, it was clear that because you need to feel safe, you always overthink, and that affects your decisions. And please type 6 here, all type 6 here, share with us in the chat and send your opinions about this cycle. Share your feeling with this cycle. Okay. When we ask the client about his opinion, validating the experience, indeed a wonderful way to handle this, as it allows the person to feel truly understood and ensures your exploration stays collaborative. It's very important to ask the client about his opinion in the cycle. And this attention, please, for this warning. And read it and share with me your opinion on this slide. Thank you so much. Totally makes sense. This feels very true. Okay. Yes, overthinking, more problems. Thank you for interaction. Okay. Now another step in the 45-minute technique. After this, it is important to create a metaphor that fits their specific situations to help them explore their emotions on a deeper level. For example, you could imagine being at a crossroads with many different paths, where making a decision feels particularly difficult. So you overthink, feel worried and frozen. Now, as a coach, you would ask them if they agree with your metaphor or if they need to change it. And now I ask type 6 again about this metaphor. What's your feeling? Is it true? Or you wanted to modify it? Is perfect. Okay. Yes. Very true. Okay. Okay. The main objective is to motivate them to discover their own way out of this cycle, for motivation, to find solutions. Okay, it's true. Thank you for sharing and interaction. Great. I am absolutely certain The client will generate numerous solutions after reaching this deep level of awareness. Now, moving to create practical steps and determine the most important to the client and build on it the action plan. In conclusion, working with the 45-minute technique means that we ask deep questions that helps us to explore a very deep level of their personality to get the root of the problem and helps us to protect the laws of using the Enneagram in coaching. And I have finished, and please send your opinion in this technique in the chat, your feedback. And since the time is up, please send all your questions in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tom.
And thank you, Hanan, for giving us really practical suggestions and the laws in and very respectful way of treating clients and leading them, not forcing them, leading them their way. Thank you for a beautiful example with type 6. So I love that, and all the best for your work. And thank you so much for joining us today on World Enneagram Day.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you to all.
And we will be going to the Southern Hemisphere. It's not very often that we have representatives from the Southern Hemisphere, even though I've been talking about Australia and New Zealand starting their own affiliate. But Lucille, all the way in Cape Town, South Africa. Could I see your lovely face, please?
Thank you so much, Tom. It's really lovely to be here. And just a little note to your team, there's a lot of people asking about captions and captions in different languages and caption stopping. So just noting that. Yeah, it's really wonderful to have you all here. My name's Lucille Greef. And I'm from the IA accredited school Euphoria. And we've been a school since 2014. And it's really lovely to be representing together with our colleagues in Egypt, the African continent here. We sometimes stretch like a violin bow from the southern tip to the northern parts of the continent. So lovely to see Hanan and Khaled and Rania and everyone else here too.
Isn't it? So thank you for joining. I see you're having sunshine on your nose. How is winter right now?
We're in the confused season, which is like it's warm and cold at the same time, all the time. The wind is icy cold, but the sun is shining. While people in the northern hemisphere are starting to get early summer. So yeah.
Yeah, I took a test with Euphoria, me and my wife, and we've been using the report, and it's very practical and very helpful. So what's your take on couples and relationships and the Enneagram?
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm going to actually take people on a little bit of a journey to help us all understand how the Enneagram can help us and make sense not only of who I am and who you are in a relationship, but also this idea of the relationship itself being a third entity between us. And we're going to play a little bit with how that works, doing a visualization, and I'll share just a couple of practical thoughts as well. So I'm asking people to go on a bit of a journey with me here, and I am going to share just 1 or 2 slides somewhere along the way. So our topic today is how to use the Enneagram to improve not just relationships, but also relationality with all of the universe. So to start off with, a picture, to just get this idea of the third entity in our minds, the space between us. There is, if I'm in a relationship with another person, and here it might be a romantic relationship, like you and your wife, Tom, or it might be two people who are colleagues as well, or a brother and a sister, or a parent and a child. So when we're talking about two people in relationship together, there's me, there's you, and then there's the space between us. And in systemic coaching, we call this space between us the third entity. We can also use Gestalt language and say that there's this thing that's more than the sum of the parts that lives between us. And if we take this idea of relationality further, just a quote from one of the big teachers and spiritual teachers in our country, Desmond Tutu, he even said that in order for me to be me, I need you. So I am because you are means that in this relationality, I am in some way created as well. So do I even, can I unfold? Can I become? Can I grow? Can I be in this world if it is not for my relationality with other humans and with the more than human kin and all of the natural world, as Khaled was referring to earlier? So, to help us think about this, I am going to ask all of us to do a bit of a visualization exercise. And so wherever you are, I'm going to just take 2-3 minutes to take us through this visualization to identify a particular relationship we want to think about today. And if you want to close your eyes to go through this, you can. Otherwise, you can just look down. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to start by just becoming more aware of your breath. Take a moment to settle on your chair. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the way your body is held not only by your spine and the bones in your body, but also by the chair that you might be sitting in and the ground under your feet. And just attune to the simple rhythm of your breathing. Becoming aware of your in-breath and how it opens and expands and fills us up. And the out-breath that grounds us, that allows us to release, that settles us. And as you remain aware of your breath, bring to mind one relationship you would like to give attention to today. Now, this may be a family relationship, a love relationship, a professional relationship. Just think of one person that matters in your life that you'd like to bring into this practice. It might not be the most tangled or painful relationship you have, but it's a meaningful one. Choose someone you feel able to hold today with steadiness and kindness. Let that person come gently into your awareness. See them as if they are sitting right here opposite you. Visualize them here in an open, available, and curious state. And now, in having called this relationship into our practice, let's attune. First, I'm going to ask you to attune to yourself. As you think of this person you're in relationship with, notice what happens within you. What do you feel in your body? Is there openness, warmth, tightness, tiredness, care, irritation, closeness, distance, hope, despair? No need to fix or explain anything. Just notice what comes up as you hold this other person in your heart. You might silently ask yourself, how am I doing in this relationship? How am I showing up in this relationship? What actions and feelings and thoughts do I often have when I am with this person? Notice what comes up for you without attaching to it. Breathe slowly and stay with your curiosity. We are now going to step from our perspective into the perspective of the other person in this relationship. So gently imagine stepping into the other person's shoes. Imagine, if you could, being inside their body, looking through their eyes at the relationship. This is not about mind reading, it's a practice in curiosity. So from their side of the relationship, looking at you, what might they be experiencing? What actions, feelings, and thoughts do they often have when they are with you? What might feel easy for them? What might feel strained or unclear? What might feel difficult or important? Let yourself imagine their inner experience of you without getting triggered or losing yourself. This is an exercise of compassion and understanding. Breathe into your belly and breathe out slowly. Return to your own perspective and self for just a moment. Take another breath. And now we are going to shift to the space between you. So not you, not them, but the relationship itself. This is something that doesn't live inside either of you. It's something that's created through the relationship. Begin to sense the space between you. If the space between you had a color, what color would it be? Maybe it's red, maybe it's green, maybe it's yellow, maybe it's brown. I don't know. Choose a color to represent the space between you. If this relationship, if the space between you had a texture, what would it feel like? Is it smooth or rough? Is it warm or cold? Is it moving? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it small? And as you feel into the space between you, see if there is a metaphor that arrives. Maybe the relationship feels smooth as glass or tangled as wool. Maybe it's a hot flame or a heavy door or a small bridge or a garden full of weeds that need some water. Just call an image into the space, not trying to make full sense of it, but just allowing that metaphor to come up. Notice what represents the relationship as it is today. And step into that metaphor. Become the bridge. Become the garden. Become the color. and look back at these two people that are in relationship with each other. Ask the relationship to speak to both of you. Imagine that the relationship can make one clear request of both of you. What does this relationship need from you right now? See if there is a word or a phrase that comes. Maybe it needs space or repair or courage, patience, better boundaries, more honesty. I don't know. Just let the word or phrase come to both of you from the relationship. Hold it lightly. Breathe into the belly slowly. And now let it out. Breathe in and out. And when you are ready, you can move your attention to the front of your face and slowly, gently open your eyes or return your attention to the room. You may want to just write down, if you've got a journal or a notepad there, 3 things. How am I in this relationship? What might the other person be experiencing? And what does the relationship need from us right now? That last phrase or word that came up. So just take a moment to capture whatever it is that arose for you. And as you do that, if you want to share, you're willing to share in the chat, you can, but you don't have to. This is also just for you. But what you experienced here is shifting perspectives from me to you to the space between us. And that space, if we can tend it, can be a space that really allows us to have wisdom in our relationship. This beautiful image that is up here, which is from the artist Alexander Milov, is so potent to explain in some way what happens in some of our more intimate relationships in particular. Sometimes there is this place where there's great disconnect or pain that can come into our intimate spaces. And what we need to remember is that it's actually our little selves, those parts of us that really early on in our life were in some way wounded through the mere fact that we are separate from other people. That those are sometimes we feel like we're big, but we ain't actually little people trying to find our way to love each other. And I want to remind us of the beautiful quote from David Daniels, one of the founders of the IAA, who said that open-hearted communication stirs our emotions, which opens us to sharing and receiving vulnerably. And that really allows us to bring health into this third entity of the relationship. And when we're paying attention to the quality of being between us, there is something of that third entity that can help both of us bring our best selves. And that third entity is not the same as me, and it's not the same as you. Martin Buber, the philosopher who speaks of I and thou, every other is sacred, said all real living is a meeting. And so much of our work, sometimes we think it's just individual work, where so much of it is actually in the space between us. So just very briefly, 1 or 2 thoughts I'll share about thinking about this third entity. I've got a picture here of the 9 Enneagram styles and a profile of 2 people. We'll call them Sam and Sally. And what we see here is how all 9 types, we know as we move towards the center of the Enneagram, all 9 types are in us in some way. We see Sam on the left. Sam leads from Enneagram 3. Yeah? And then you see how the other Enneagram types show up for Sam. Sally leads from Enneagram 4. And you can see how the other types show up for Sally. Now, this picture of the two together is like a snapshot of the third entity, the space between us. And see what you can see here. Can you see what's interesting? If you put these two pictures together, the Enneagram type that may be showing up most in the third entity is not 3 or 4, but Enneagram 8. And so how interesting is it? We've got two heart types, but the third entity has a strong energy of Enneagram 8 coming through. And that doesn't belong, in some way it belongs to both of them and it belongs to neither of them. It's this thing that is created in the space between them. The second thing I want you to notice is which types does this third entity not have a lot of access to? Which types are, as Fleming would sometimes say, are blind? You can look at 9 and 7 here. Both of these are very blind for this relationship. So the third entity between a 3 and a 4 is strong in 8 and low in 9 and 7. Now, when we start thinking about third entities in this way, and we see each of these Enneagram types here now in the space between us as an energy, we can see that this is a relationship where there's maybe a lot of 8 energy around authority and decisiveness and courage and strength and saying things as it is and being very straight talking and candid. And at the same time, maybe it's a relationship with very little of the 9 energy around listening and harmonizing and being open and receptive to each other. And similarly, very low in the future orientation and ideation and positive possibility that comes from Enneagram 7. And so if we're holding space for this relationship, we can think of this as the missing medicine. The 9 and the 7 as being missing medicine for this. And if we were to hold space for this relationship, if this relationship could speak, maybe it would ask Sam and Sally for more 9 or more 7. And what might it look like to ask for more 7? It may ask Sam and Sally to find ways to laugh together more. Or if 9 could speak, it may ask them to listen to each other more and to hold back on their opinions more. And so this is a way of us, I think, just leaning into what the Enneagram can teach us about relational intelligence, not just about ourselves, but about the space between us. And I'm not going to read this whole quote, but relationality is, I think, what's getting us into trouble as a human species. We're not relational enough. And AI is in some way taking our relationality into technology. And there's a lot of benefit from that. But there's something about bringing our relationality back, not just to the space between us, but also then to our relationality with all of our beautiful planet and all of the broader cosmos and all of nature and our relationality with the rocks and the animals and the rivers and the streams. Our flourishing is mutual, as Robin Wall Kimmerer says from the book Braiding Sweetgrass, which is very close to my heart. So if we can be in the space between us better, we can reclaim our relational intelligence and also be in the space with all of nature in right relationships, not in dominion over, but in right relationship. So hopefully this short experience of working with a third entity touched you in some way. You can think of the relationship you were working with and say, what's the interesting way when our profiles come together that a third entity pops up that's maybe different from our individual energies, but also what's the missing medicine in here? What are the types that are blind between the two of us that have great wisdom for us that can help restore our relational intelligence between us? So, to end off, our school is for Enneagram enthusiasts giving away something for free. So we have many different training programs, and we've been running these for more than a decade. But if you want to win a free seat on the program of your choice, all you have to do is send your name, surname, country, and preferred program. You can go and look at our website at our 6 programs. 2 of our programs are about coaching either romantic couples or parents at work. But send us that, no strings attached, and we will on Monday pick a winner and let you know that you have won the program of your choice. I will pop that email in the chat as well. But thanks so much, Tom, and back over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucille. Just very briefly, how on earth do you get a profile like that? It's so amazing that you get to see visually what's dominant and what's missing. How do you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think this is where there's 2 ways one could do this. The one is if you work from more of a narrative perspective. It's almost to sit with all 9 types and to feel which energies are high and low for an individual, and then the other person to do the same, and then you glue those together. In our school, we work with assessments. And so what people do is each individual in the relationship would do an assessment, and then we'd pull those profiles together to build an understanding of the third entity.
Beautiful. This was really inspiring, Lucille, and thank you so much. All the best to the Southern Hemisphere for now. So we're moving to Europe. We're moving to the Czech Republic, where we find, actually, I think you have a Romanian passport, don't you, Christina? But you're living in Prague, aren't you?
Yes, I call myself the vampire undercover because I originally come from Transylvania. So, I'm just kind of
I've been to the Dracula castle. I didn't see the Dracula, but I know the myth about him. So, but you're not here to talk about myths. You're here to talk about the future, and the really imminent future with artificial intelligence. So I wonder, how do you view this, and how do you work with AI, and how is it related to the Enneagram? And should we be afraid?
Tom, if that is okay, I believe that what I prepared for you today will answer your questions. And if I'm not answering your questions, I promise that I will come to it towards the end. So to make sure that I zoom in even deeper. All right, so I can take it over.
Yeah, go ahead. I believe we have a presentation, so go ahead,
Yes, I
Christina.
do. Well, first of all, Tom, thank you very much for having me. Colleagues from all over the world, I appreciate you being here and you doing the work that you do to support, humanity in all its forms and shapes. And Lucille, particularly thank you to you for the bowl you served me with mentioning AI, because it was such a beautiful segue. So with your permission, I'm just going to share my screen. Could you please confirm that you can see my screen all right? Give me some thumbs up. You can. Brilliant. So I know that I have 30 minutes and off we go. Really quick about myself, as Tom said, I'm originally from Romania, moved to the Czech Republic, former business journalist. And in 2010, I discovered the Enneagram. 2 magic things happened. I discovered the Enneagram and I started my own business. And in a way or another, since then, I have been working with CEOs and C-suite executives to support them to succeed in their roles, whatever success means for them. So everything I'm bringing to you today is filtered through the lens of my direct experience working with clients, all right? And what I'm bringing you today is an invitation to reflect on how AI is transforming the way we think, we work, we lead, even we love, whom we love, and how we live. But I also believe deeply that the people in this room have a tremendous edge in being the guardians of humanity in this new world that is created around us. We know how it feels, or at least I dare to project my optimistic and hopeful needs on you. I believe that we have a sense of what it feels to be present in our bodies, to be present in a relationship, to experience deep emotions, to experience observation from the outside. So that is becoming a fundamental competency and capability in the world that is growing around us. So my presentation today is an invitation for each Enneagram personality strategy to leverage the gift of our strategy to contribute to this world, to stay humane, and to protect and to leverage our humanity. I'm gonna start with type 8. And what I'm noticing, so I'm going to do this for each type. And friends, if you have questions, if you have comments, put them in the chat and I will answer to you either during or after the presentation. So we know that with the strategy 8, we've got the motivation of power and control. And I believe that the invitation in this new world is to amplify power for good. What I notice when I work with 8 in roles of leaders is that they go for, when we talk about AI adoption, they go for one of two attitudes. One is, that's bullshit. That's not going to happen. Not here. The business is good as it is, right? So essentially declining to even deal with it, to even deal with this reality. Or the second extreme is going all in. Okay, so now we're going to reinvent everything with AI and we're going to take over the market thanks to this technology. And that type of attitude very often is bringing people, the team, the clients into a firefighting mode. Because if we bring the energy of an 8 and we put it all in and we try to keep pace with the speed of AI development, many people, companies, systems, and structures are not ready for that. Another thing I want to encourage you who are 8 or whom you serve, who are using the strategy 8, is to remember that the fact that you have a sense of vision doesn't mean that the others are already sharing it. So 8s, what I observe is that very often they forget to share their vision for AI adoption with the others or co-create this vision with others. So my encouragement for the type 8s with us is to leverage your phenomenal bias. Yes, the slides will be available. These my slides. I will be very happy to share them with you after the presentation. So 8s, you have your human engines, right? You've got a tremendous bias for action and a capacity to really electrocute systems and people and throw them into deep transformation. And that is what is necessary in many systems today. And your energy, your phenomenal energy, can truly support a system as it reinvents itself. These are the elements that I want to encourage you to think about and to leverage and to bring to the service of a humane adoption of AI in your team, in your company. Going to our wonderful 9s, the invitation here is to amplify harmony with the help of AI. So when you're using AI, beware of doing nothing. Essentially doing nothing and hoping that somehow the path ahead will clarify itself. Someone else will come and it will tell you that's the way to go. It's been proven, it's been cleaned up, it's safe, right? Off you go, and you can pace yourself as you do this. Right now, AI adoption can feel incredibly overwhelming. So what I'm seeing with 9 leaders is either this, like I need someone else to tell me what to do and how, Or I have seen clients 9 who use AI for narcotization, for endless conversations with it, for friendly conversations. They're essentially programming the various bots that they're using in a very friendly, harmonious conversation. But that's a rabbit hole, and we can narcotize, using AI for fun, light stuff for forever. It doesn't make it necessarily an effective usage of capabilities. Another thing I want to encourage you to be aware of is expecting routine and predictable results from a technology that is under development. So AI right now is like it's constantly changing, and we know how much Strategy 9 loves to see a process that will happen with, repeatedly and with predictable results. And that's not happening here, which can become very frustrating. So my encouragement for you is to leverage, to use, to leverage the point of inflection when you start using AI to clarify your vision about your work. Become very clear on what you want and how you want AI to help you achieve what you want at work or in your personal, even that can be, driving your car better or making interesting recipes, but be clear on what you want from your AI usage. Second is you have a tremendous sense of process and routine, and that's where AI agents thrive. So if there is anyone who is really a wonderful creator, can be a wonderful creator of AI agents who can leverage this idea of clarity, process, and routine, that can be a person or a leader with a strategy 9. Moving forward to strategy 1, the invitation here is to amplify wide reform. Pretty much everything in our world these days needs to be reinvented. We see, from companies, from teams, from the way we operate, from our political and social systems, we are in deep needs of reform. So friends, using the strategy 1, we need you. However, you need to be aware of excessive expectations from the technology and from other people. Again, remember that this is a technology that is in the making these days under our fingers, so you need to calibrate your expectations. A leader with a strategy 1 will strive to design a process and place a very clear and intentional process on a technology that feels like lava, that is under development. So that can lead to monumental frustration with the flexing of processes, but also with poor quality AI results, the so-called AI slop. And I believe, and this is also a warning for all of you out there working with people who know their Enneagram types, I believe that strategies 1 are at massive risk of burnout in the next few years, if they're not burnt out already, because the volume of AI slop is becoming overwhelming. And guess who's the first to pick the cleaning broom and, go in and sort it out? So what you as ones can leverage is your wonderful, tremendous sense of quality. Be merciless in requiring excellence from the AI tools you are using or choosing to implement. And why I'm saying this, many people, like right now, AI tools are emerging with the speed of mushrooms under rain, but not all of them are quality. And they will use the excuse, yeah, but the technology is at the beginning and so on and so forth. Fine, but be careful at testing promises and focusing on a quality relationship with whomever your supplier of AI services is. So use your need of excellence in shaping the behavior of your suppliers. Don't let them get away with slop work that you will embrace for your own transformation. your sense of morality and quality feedback, which is a gift for a technology that is now gaining shape and traction. All of us, we need to contribute to give them feedback in order for the technology to stay humane, but you as ones, you have an even stronger voice in this landscape. Moving forward to our wonderful tools, the invitation here is to amplify genuine help. Everyone is claiming that AI is going to reinvent the way, we'll find the cancer cures and it's going to be so helpful in so many ways. And what we see is that actually is creating even more work for us. So how can we turn this technology to be truly helpful for us and for others? What I invite our colleagues using the strategy tool to be aware of is polar thinking, polarized, right? Either humans or AI. In a way, we see the same polarization that we can see with an 8, of course, in this case, with the tendency towards no. We're going to stay human. We're going to stay focused on relationships. AI is just making life difficult for our people. So we need to be very, very careful with how we're implementing this. You have an incredible radar to human stress, and now we're going through constant transformation. So you are going exactly there where people suffer or they feel overwhelmed. But guess what this brings? An even higher risk of burnout for yourself. So together with strategy 1, colleagues using strategy 2 are also at incredible risk of burnout. And I see this in HR departments in organizations. HR is considered the new R&D, right? Research and development departments in organizations, because if people don't embrace AI, companies cannot transform. However, the more pressure from the others you take on yourself, the more you are at risk of burnout. What you as tools can leverage is your capacity to put humans and humanity first. And that's exactly what our world needs today, a commitment to humanity. And to all of this technology coming to serve not just 3 gentlemen who will have an IPO this year before midterm elections in November, but the humanity as such in a positive, effective, and ethical way. So when you adopt AI, try to make sure that you are bringing in your helpful nature and make sure that whatever you're creating, your processes, your artifacts are crafted in a way to be genuinely helpful for other people, right? Leverage your native tendency to be helpful to make sure that the technology is used in a helpful manner. Moving to our wonderful winners, to the 3s, the invitation here is to amplify ethical success. Ethical success, not reckless success. So beware of a tendency to be the first with any price, regardless of the circle of the consequences, regardless of the resources consumed in the process. Reckless behaviors. Or dropping whatever guardrails, personal, team-wise, company-wise, just because they slow you down on your way of becoming the best, right? And we can see this in pretty much any industry and in any size of company. There is a tendency in this direction these days. So the things I want to encourage you to leverage, friends, is double down on what long-term success means. So not just short-term success, how to be the best by the end of this year, but how will we serve our clients and stakeholders 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Because that will help you pace yourself and the use of resources in a bit more sustainable and ethical way. You have a tremendous capacity to motivate people to use AI effectively. And you can succeed by becoming a role model, helping people, sharing with people your attitude of a winner, your approach and your effective use cases with your clients, with your market, with your industry. You have the radar for success. My invitation for you is make sure that that success is ethical and it is long-term, right? If you burn the world to the ground, your world, our world, that's not going to be a success, I believe. So for strategy 4, our wonderful artists, the invitation here is to amplify creativity, I believe. Strategy 4 is my observations when I work with 4 clients is they are reserved towards AI. It's almost like feeling disgust towards AI because AI is tapping into human creativity, stealing human intellectual property. That's what IP stands for, killing human creativity and so on. So the 2 and the 4 have an incredible attachment to, to humanity. In the case of a 2, humanity as such, and relationships. In the case of a 4, humanity manifesting as creativity. And because of the terror that this technology could infringe on human creativity, many 4s may reject embracing it, which can become indeed the real risk. Another thing I noticed is comparing yourself and your own creative capabilities with AI-generated creative artifacts. So that is something that can trigger a 4 and really throw it into an emotional rabbit hole. Pay attention to that because this is not what this is about. When you use AI, you can use it to actually amplify your creativity and also to protect your intellectual property. So make sure that you know exactly how to create contracts, how to label your artifacts in a way that is legally protected so no one can steal it from you. No, engine or large language model. Your flair for the dramatic can help you create magnificent artifacts with AI. So there's so much possibility because AI tools, particularly the visual, the graphic ones, are becoming more and more affordable. And therefore, for a wonderful 4 who is able to create, videos and so on and so forth, these tools make amplified creativity more available. And you can thrive by showing others how to stay human and to become even more creative with the help of AI tools in graphics, in visuals, in sound, in poetry, writing, and I don't know. Mindful of our time, I'm going to advance to our wonderful head types. And the strategy 5 is an invitation to amplify education. I didn't want to say information because we're drowning in it, but amplify education. Beware of informational rabbit holes. I see 5s really going into trying to understand everything there is to understand about large language models and creating agents and so on and so forth. And like there's so much happening right now that it can become indeed a mental rabbit hole for 5s, 6s, and 7s. Excessive skepticism, it can also emerge not so much in relation to the technology, but with the usage of technology, or impatience with people's speed of understanding AI, right? That can emerge as well, particularly if you work in as a chief technology officer and you're in charge of company transformation. Where I see the greatest danger is in dropping humanity altogether in order to adopt technology, right? 4 or 5 is not so difficult to detach, but I believe that as a world, that's where we stand on the precipice of dropping humanity altogether for this dream of omnipotent, omniscient technology, and we can do better. In terms of leverage your sense of logic and reason when you reinvent the processes, the company, your excellent sense of resource management, right? Because many people go and start using AI just to have fun, forgetting that Those AI servers consume a lot of electricity and water and have real impact on the planet. So we need to become more intentional in the way we use AI, only there where it makes sense. And your objective surgical attitude to processes when you reinvent them, right? No attachment to that's how we did things in the past, that's why we're going to do them. No, we reinvent things with surgical precision, and we put technology there where it makes logical sense. Moving to the strategy 6, this is an invitation to amplify safety. Just yesterday, I onboarded a founder and CEO leading an AI-first company, and we're going to have wonderful conversations around this. He is a counterphobic 6. So my invitation for you 6s is to beware of excessive fears about the future that can lead to procrastination at best, paralysis, or paranoia at worst. Same like with ones, an excessive need for predictable outcomes from a technology that's under development for different reasons, right? 1, because you want the results to be excellent, and 6, because you want the results to be predictable, therefore making your world safe. That's not happening with this technology, not for now. God knows if ever. In terms of leverage, you have phenomenal forecasting skills. So that's something that you can start activating and leveraging more for yourself, for your team, for the company. You have the radar for ethical behaviors, and please, 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 for all that's sacred, bring them forward. The technology built these days does not encompass necessarily ethical guardrails, and we need more voices of 6s speaking about what ethical behavior and usage is. Your capacity to make others feel and be safe when using AI, cybersecurity, right? We need 6s to speak up and to show us how to stay safe in this crazy new world. And of course, the 7s, so thank you for your patience. That's always a training of patience when we bring the 7 at the end. The invitation here is to amplify joy. Joy for being alive, really alive, in real life. That's a paradox. The 7 is in a way the paradox, right? Because of all the strategies that I'm encouraging, use more technology and AI, to the 7s, actually, I'm telling them, go to the forest, go do some gardening, right? Go out, leave the technology, because if 5s still have a sense of resource management when falling into the rabbit hole of information overdrive, 7s don't have that. And 7, together with the 1s and the 2s, are also at massive risk of burnout from unhinged exposure to technology. Beware of the dream of having AI do everything for you while you're raking passive income and sip, mojitos by the beach, right? It's not going to happen. We still need to build our muscle of presence for our lives, for our clients, for our families. AI hopefully will not get to do everything for us. Beware of energy management and burnout, because the 7 will jump in with excitement and try to reinvent everything and everyone at the same time, and that's going to be a challenge. 7s, try to leverage your enthusiasm for new things and possibilities, but with measure, if that is possible. Leverage your capacity for strategic thinking and seeing around the corners in what's becoming possible. And your capacity to feel alive, even as you use more and more technology. In fact, what I've experienced on my own is that the more technology we use, the more we're invited to be human and to protect our humanity. So that is my invitation for you, colleagues. I believe AI is here to stay. And my invitation for you all over the world is to take it as an opportunity, not just to reinvent your processes and do work better and achieve more, but to reevaluate, nurture, amplify, and expand humanity in all its forms and shapes. And I invite you to trust that who you are, everything you have ever done, everything you have ever discovered was done for this moment. Now you need you to bring your best version into this world, which is in making. And this world needs you in that best shape of humanity, because right now we are reinventing humanity, even though it may not be so obvious. So you are needed. If you have questions for me or comments, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn. You will find me here, and you also have my contacts. Very happy to talk to you afterwards. And thank you so much for your time. Tom, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Christina. I'm really feeling more empowered right now, and I'm really happy that you strengthen the human potential by showing how each point around the circle can really get into their core competency and be aware of the potential in using the AI. It was beautiful that you went around the circle. Really surprised me, but it really felt me empowered and gave me a good sense of possibilities. And being the romantic dreamer type 9, this is going to be a tool in the world peace crusade. So thank you, and all the best to you, Christina. And you might have you see all the hearts, and thank you so much. We're running towards the Nordic, so we'll stay with the Nordic, the last two presentations. And firstly, I'll have Saleh, my events team comrade, to dream some more together with me. And Saleh, I'm thinking that I was the real dreamer in the house, but I get from your presentation title that you are really imagining the impossible. And how is that? Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, you too. I always imagine possibilities for the future. It's kind of like where my mind goes. And so especially when it comes to something that has such high potential as the Enneagram, I always think like how will this look like in the future? If it grows, and if we apply it correctly, and if it spreads properly as it should. So yeah, so what I'm going to present today is kind of like my musings about that.
Go ahead, Saleh. I'm listening.
All right. So hey everyone. My name is Saleh Avelander. I'm a medical doctor and Enneagram author. So today, I want to talk about something different than I usually talk about. I want to talk about the Enneagram in connection to society and to the world at large. So there are big changes happening in the world today, as we all know. There are geopolitical shifts, there are wars, threats of economic collapse. There's AI, which is arguably, the biggest technological leap of our time. And this is causing a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And it's, it risks major instability in the world because of this anxiety and distress, apart from the fact that real, like physical changes are actually happening in the world. So with globalism, the world is becoming more linked and more connected. And in connection with that, two things are happening. First, there's a breakdown of the old structures, like multicultural. For example, we now have multiculturalism, and so that means that cultural borders are being redrawn, and especially here in the West, like you have culture, ethnicity, gender roles, and family structures. All of these are being. Sorry, it's my cat. Oh my God. Right, no problem. So so in the last 50 to 100 years, we've seen that the ideology of nationalism has become more fluid. It's not so clear cut who is an American anymore, who is a French person, who is a Spanish person, and so on. Family structures are breaking down. We're moving from this traditional family-oriented societal structure, and now everything is becoming more individualistic and individualized. Gender lines are being redrawn. The whole idea of gender is coming into question, as is sexuality. And also, perhaps most importantly, is religion. And at the same time, these are kind of like the instability of all these constructs. We have a parallel rise in a culture of consumerism. So a lot of changes are happening, a lot of developments are happening, and there's a sense that this is really going too fast. It's creating a lot of anxiety, it's creating a lot of disorientation. Like there's mass instability, because what will replace these old structures? In other words, what can humanity hold on to? So what might happen is that there is an alienation and suspicion towards others. We see, increasing non-tolerance. There's a sense that, with the increasing interconnectedness of technology, it's like we're crammed into this small digital space online, but we are farther apart from each other in the real world. So there's almost a sense that, there can sometimes be more affinity with people in a YouTube chat than with our actual neighbors next door. So in connection with this, there has been, increase in discrimination. There's a surge in nationalism, it's as if, when nationalism senses that something is getting unstable, it senses its own kind of like downfall, then people start becoming very threatened in their identity. They become hardline and so on. So it's important to imagine a future global society. How will we interact? What will we believe in? Who will we adhere to? And I think this is very important to imagine what comes ahead, because it's important to imagine possibilities, to be prepared, and not just to be in reaction mode when these changes actually happen. So in this context, I want to describe the role of the Enneagram, because I think it is very relevant. So the Enneagram, as we all know, it's growing in popularity. There's a large following worldwide, and many people, of course, helped by it. But it's still far from a majority, the people who know about the Enneagram, the people who use it and who are knowledgeable about it. So the question is, if this keeps growing, if the Enneagram becomes known to the majority, and assuming it retains its quality and its structure. So if it becomes known to the majority of people in a society, or even in the world, and it becomes part of the societal, fabric. What then? What might we see? So, what would society look like if the Enneagram were part of it? And why would we want that in the first place? So, here are some speculations about what I think about this question. So, the Enneagram is a map. It's a psychological map, and more fundamentally, it's a spiritual map. It allows us to navigate these subtle territories within ourselves and also others. So it's similar to a religion, kind of. Religion is also a framework for relating to ourselves and to the world, as the Enneagram is. But also other frameworks, like, for example, certain ideologies, like nationalism. Nationalism is also a framework by which we define ourselves and our relationship to others. And any ideology can be that. Like, for example, the ideology of materialism, which says that we are biological machines and there's no such thing as a soul. This is something that has dominated the modern world recently. And this has a lot of implications for how we see ourselves and how we relate to others. So, but the question is, how well do these systems represent reality? Some of these systems may partially represent reality, our inner realities. But others, they construct these narratives, and very often they're false narratives. They have no correspondence with actual real truth, and we identify with them, and somewhere along that line, the truth is lost. And this is what we see, for example, when people identify too strongly with their, race or nation or culture. So the premise is that the more accurate and truthful the system is, the better a foundation it is for us to live by, as people and as cultures. And I believe the Enneagram, and as probably a lot of you will agree, and as a growing number around the world will testify, the Enneagram is a highly accurate description of our inner world and also how we relate to others. So I want to argue for the case that the Enneagram can be a universal framework that the world lives by. And this may replace outdated frameworks, maybe not fully, but partially replace frameworks like nationalism or other affiliations that are a poor representation of reality. So what exactly do I mean by this? So first we will look at the psychological perspective, and then we will look at the more deeper spiritual perspective. So let's look at the psychological aspect. Human beings, we need something to hold on to, a framework, an ideology. Something to, have in our minds by which to approach the world. To approach the world with an open mind is too threatening, and most of us are not prepared to do that. So in choosing a framework, or in trying to imagine such a framework, what better than a system that gives us a framework to work on ourselves and to be aware of ourselves, and makes us more empathic to others. And more importantly, empathic to others, regardless of what culture they come from, which gender they are, which ideology they have, etc. So let me give you an example. Let's say there's a Swedish person who is a type 1, and they're either visiting China or they're living in China. And China is a very different culture from Sweden. So they see it's very different. many things they don't understand. Sometimes, this Swedish type 1 may, become overwhelmed. They look at what's around them, they try to understand, but at the same time, they're kind of suspicious because it seems to them through the lens of, nationalism or culture that there are not so many things in common between what they experience, their experience, and the experience of the people that they meet and interact in this new, strange country. But let's say they have a conversation with somebody, with a Chinese person, and in the course of that conversation, they suddenly realize, if given that this person knows the Enneagram, and suddenly they realize that, my God, this Chinese person is a type 1, just like me. And immediately there's a kind of affinity, like there's an aha moment. Suddenly they understand the other person better, like they understand some of their experiences, some of their challenges. And these insights allows them to relate to this other person and kind of put aside all the reservations and stereotypes and stereotypes they might be having about the other person being Chinese. Because they discover that what they share with this person is on a deeper level than, culture or nationality, and is something more significant. So they share something more significant with this person suddenly than perhaps they would with a Swedish culture with a Swedish person who is of a different type or, has another type of personality. So we see here, like, the Enneagram can be a kind of connector in this sense, and it doesn't have to be the same type. Even if the other person is a different type, say type 6, it still gives, like, them knowing this is a type 6, it still gives them a lot of valuable information about, their inner life, about their, about who they are, that can allow them to look beyond the cultural facade. So, as we can see, the Enneagram becomes a sort of social medium. It becomes a window into another person's inner world. I wouldn't say, it's a window into their, into the other person's innermost unique, soul, because that is, always unique, and I don't think it's something that can be classified and typed and categorized. But the Enneagram can be a catalyst for relationship and connection, and increased empathy, because it lowers the threshold for us to be open to a person and to be curious about them. Because it gives us a model, a framework for other people's inner lives and their motives and where they are coming from. And so, for example, if they see, bad behavior coming from someone, they would see that as, as manifestations of someone being an unhealthy type 2 or type 5, and they are more ready to excuse it, So, and like they know that if this other person just became conscious of their pattern and worked on it, then they would, probably act in a better way. So it's as if the system by default makes us more understanding and more tolerant. And in this way, I would like to argue that the Enneagram can be an antidote to discrimination, an antidote to racism, to sexism. And this is something that is, of course, badly needed today, because, we in this current state that we're in, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of disorientation about who we are and about who others are. And because of that, things are becoming more polarized. And so we need a connecting agent in this time. So you know, like if I imagine the Enneagram as somehow maybe in the future being a dominant underlying framework in a society. And it would be very suitable for that, I can imagine, because the Enneagram framework is universal. It means it transcends culture. Because you know, a type 8, 9, 3, 7 exists across all cultures, all communities, all families. So, you know, it's something that is intermingled within the societal fabric. Um, so the only it's already there. It's already pointing to a truth about ourselves and others, as opposed to, for example, nationalism, which imposes something, a framework, you know, like it imposes a definition. But the Enneagram would reflect something that is true, that is already there. The only question is, are we able to see it and make use of it? Now, of course, you know, like as with any framework, there is a danger, you know, that seeing the world through, you know, the framework instead of, you know, the world as it is, you know, like so, you know, for example, when in if you're too much fixated on nationalism, you may see yourself as, you know, American or Russian, and other people as, you know, being American, Russian, Indian. Or through the lens of religion, you see people in terms of their religious identity. So you're seeing the person behind, you're not seeing the person behind the label. Now, of course, this can happen with the Enneagram also. You know, like for example, you see a type 7 instead of seeing the unique human being that they are behind the type. You know, and this is something that we see a lot in Enneagram circles. But you know, I want to argue that this is much more benign than, you know, the kind of labeling that we might see in nationalism or religious classifications. Because you know, with the Enneagram, you know, in the worst case, it might, you know, it might lead us to have our, you know, our relationships become more superficial or awkward because you were just interacting with a type instead of a person. But you know, compared to the to discrimination based on nationalism or religion, you know, that's nothing, you know, like because some of the bloodiest wars have been fought over nationalism and religion. So I would argue that it's safer in that sense. So another point I want to bring up, it's a very significant one, and it's about AI and where it's taking us right now. So AI is doing a lot of the work that we, you know, take pride in, you know, intellectually, also practically. So now there's this, you know, gnawing anxiety that we've become second rate. You know, there's talk now of a useless class emerging, you know, like there's jobs being taken, you know, and so whether this is true or not, that's another question, but it has definitely crept into our collective unconscious. And it's caused some kind of existential uneasiness and disorientation. And it's caused, you know, it's causing almost a despair about, you know, our dignity and purpose as human beings. You know, even the idea of being human is questioned, you know, like now people are talking about, you know, we should become cyborgs, you know, part human, part machine. Now, this I think is a very dangerous way of thinking. And it's something that should be resisted at all costs because we are not machines. We're human beings. So this is something that needs to be addressed. And so what is the antidote to this attitude, to this kind of to these ideas? How do we shield our sense of humanity? How do we highlight and nurture what makes us human? What do we have that AI doesn't? Apart from the, can AI be conscious debate, which I won't go into now. But what no one can doubt is that AI has, one, it has no emotions, and two, it has no spiritual dimension. And so this is definitely part of what makes us human. Emotions and spirituality. And how do we promote a way of thinking that highlights these human elements? Well, I believe that the Enneagram is precisely that. The Enneagram is a map of our emotions and motivations, and also of our underlying spiritual dimension. It reflects back on us. It tells us, it describes to us that what makes us human. It allows us to anchor ourselves in our humanity, and both on the individual level and the collective level. And it can do this, during this AI shift, where we are able to look at ourselves not as these, cognitive, computational operating systems, but as human beings. So all that talk about that we should become machines, or that we are biological machines, or anything related, I think the Enneagram can help in shattering all these illusions.
Beautiful, 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 Saleh. This is really good food for thought. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I really enjoyed the description of the background, and you also mentioned huge potentiality of using Enneagram cross-culturally and culturally, meaning any perspective. So thank you so much, and all the best to you. And we're going now to Denmark. And Twille, Daus, hvordan har du det? Twille, are you there?
Oh yes, but I think you said Sweden, and we just have Sweden, so I.
We're going to Denmark. We're going to Denmark, our brother. Yeah. So, yes. How are you today?
Oh, and video on too. Yes, thank you. Yes, it's very nice this year. I think all of this presentation with a good topic. We have another topic. We have youth also. So, but my presentation of EIA Denmark is that I'm the spokesperson from EIA Denmark, and we are a very new border. I've been with it for a long time, and Annabella is a supplant now, but all new people going into the border now, and with lots of ideas and a lot of engagement and things. So it's very nice.
So your new approach this year for the new board is having this youth initiative, which is really interesting. A few words on that.
Yeah, we have. Our now a board member, Christine, who will present in a few minutes, have decided before she became a board member that she have learned about the Enneagram in another education, and she want to bring it out to young people. So she started before it been formal in the affiliate Denmark, and we sponsored it with some sodas or cake or something like that. And now she's the board member and looking forward to present a little about what the Enneagram do to her as a young person. And now, well, she's not so young anymore. She have a candidate now. She have she have invented a youth camp. So she also will talk a little about, because we do it we do it in Danish and in English. So so people can come from everywhere. It's very informal, in a nice cottage with a sea in the middle of Zealand, Denmark. I'm looking very much forward to it. So I will present Christine.
I would have liked to be there. I would have liked
Tom,
to be there on the
you can
youth
be a
camp, but-
volunteer.
Well, being 70 is okay to be in a youth camp? No.
I mean, in 7 years, I will be the same age, so you can be a volunteer.
Okay. So let's bring in the youth. Let's bring in the
Yes,
youth. So
I will do that.
Christina,
Yes.
there you are. Welcome to our live World Enneagram Day, and thank you for being our youth representative. How is it for you?
Well, I started, as Tvile said, with just doing on my own. I was doing free Enneagram cafes for young people in Denmark. And then I was kind of scouted by the board of the Danish association with the Enneagram, and they wanted me to join. So now I'm an official board member. And I've made a little presentation about how I think the Enneagram can help young people. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today.
Beautiful. I'm really anxious to hear you. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Christina.
Yes, I'll just share. I'll see if I can make it so you can see it as well. Yes.
Let's work.
Perfect. That looks great. So just wanted to be able to see you guys as well. So yes, as we just stated, I'm here to talk about how the Enneagram can help young people, and I've also wanted to talk a little bit about my own experience as a young person learning about the Enneagram. But first, I also wanted to do a brief introduction to supplement what Tvile just said, that in Denmark we also have this IEA association, where we are focusing right now on spreading the knowledge about the Enneagram specifically to young people. But we also have, like, I'm thinking many other affiliates around the world have online events and podcasts. But this year we're doing a summer camp for young people over the age of 18. And this Enneagram summer camp is actually going to be August this year. And there's a little QR code if you want to read more about it. I also have it on the last slide as well. But the whole point of this Enneagram summer camp is just to make a safe space where young people can try to use the self-development tool, the Enneagram. And yes, we also want to make sure that after we've had this camp, that we keep the community alive. So we will start making these Enneagram cafes again, where young people will meet up and use the Enneagram together. So just to briefly tell you about my story as a young person learning about the Enneagram. So I have known about the Enneagram through my mom since I was about 8 years old, where she took an NLP and Enneagram Masters. And that's also since then that I've known my own type. I'm a type 1. And I've been actively using the Enneagram since I was 15 through Enneagram summer camps that was held in Denmark by the NLP House. They don't do it anymore, and that's why I felt like it was my responsibility to kind of pass the torch. And since I have used the Enneagram and been on these camps, I've also myself taken an NLP and Enneagram practitioner. And I truly do believe that the Enneagram has shaped me as a person and helped me learn more about myself and other people early on in my life. So I wanted to briefly touch upon why I believe it is a good thing to learn about the Enneagram early. And since I have learned about it early, I can also see a lot of benefits in it. Because I think that it is really amazing to get a deeper understanding of yourself when you're young and you're still getting to know yourself, because I was at least a very insecure teenager. I didn't know that much about myself or the people around me. So I also grew some very deep connections with others, learning about the Enneagram, other young people. And the Enneagram has been a really great tool for me. And I also think for a lot of people, or for me at least, I can see that sometimes it can be easier to learn about your habits, your faults, your strengths early on in your life, so you don't feel as stuck in them. If you learn about the Enneagram later in life, it might be more difficult to try to implement some of the strategies in your life. Whereas as a young person, you are very much moldable still. So how can the Enneagram help? So I also want to say that even in the very simple terms, the Enneagram can help young people understand themselves and others. It can just be making a safe space where you learn the fundamental things about the Enneagram, like you are not alone. There are other people that feel the same way as you do, but there are also other people that don't think the same as you. You can't just always explain things and kind of demand that others see it the same way as you. And even just young people learning about mindfulness and sharing can do a lot. At the summer camp that I was at when I was young, and hopefully also the one that we're making, we had a silent hour every day after lunch where you just had to be with yourself, maybe writing in your notebook. And I don't know if you can all remember how it was to be a teenager, but there's a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings and a lot of things that you can write down. And even if I had just been on a mindfulness camp as a young person, I am certain I would have gotten a lot out of it. So that is my way to say that you shouldn't be afraid of making a self-development or Enneagram camp for young people, because it can really be a great support in that time. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about, well, then how can you do typing if you're working with young people? Because I know there's a bit of a discussion on the topic. If you're under 18, are you even allowed to type yourself? And as I just told you, my mom typed me as an 8-year-old. But I think that if you're going to use typing with young people, you just have to make sure that it is only the person themselves typing themselves. Because as a young person, it can feel a bit restrictive or be harmful if you are told by others, you are like this, you are this type, you don't have any other capabilities. Where it is much more fulfilling to learn, oh, I have put myself in this box. I am only using these habits. I'm only seeing the world with these eyes. Maybe I can expand my worldview through being this type in the Enneagram. And that is why I also want to say that it's actually pretty normal with young people to mistype, because if you don't really know yourself, you might be typing who you want to be and not exactly who you are. But I believe that it can also be very giving to have that journey by mistyping yourself, because you still learn something from working with yourself in another type, because we do have access to all the 9 types. We might have a standpoint, a perspective, a lens we see through from one type, but we can still learn from all the 9 types. And I just also wanted to share, with me being typed from a young age, I didn't really care about that. So you can say, on the other hand, it might not matter. But I also had a friend, and she was typed by her mom as well, around the same age. And she thought that it was like she missed something. She wanted to have that aha moment where she found out herself, okay, this is my type. Yes. So it might have been a bit short, but in conclusion, I just wanted to say that I think the Enneagram is a wonderful tool to work with, no matter your age, and you can use it as a self-development tool without typing or with typing, and you will still learn more about yourself and others. And that we in Denmark, we really hope that more people want to enjoy working with the Enneagram. And we also really hope that a lot of young people will join our summer camp, which will be can be in English if there are some people that don't speak Danish. But yeah, if you want to read more about it, you can scan the QR code. It will be in both Danish and English. And that was actually all I had to say.
Christina, could I ask you a question? I've really
Yes, of course.
enjoyed this. It's amazing. So what I'm taking as a really warning point and a fantastic potential is actually the thing about not typing others.
Yes.
You are the one who's typing yourself. And it's even so important that we have it as an example in the IEA Global Code of Ethics, ethical guidelines. It's so important that you don't point any fingers at anyone. So how was it for you being typed by your mother? You missed the aha moment. How was that for you?
Well, I think for me, it became like a common language, the Enneagram, with me in my family and my mother. And I think she just wanted to kind of share everything she knew. And that's why she typed me and my brothers early on as well. I never really thought about it before I was around 15, 16, where everyone else as a young person at the camps had to figure out what type they were. But I've never felt like it was wrong or that she shouldn't have typed me. So yeah, but it's a good question, because as I said, my other friend, she thought she kind of missed out a little bit by being typed. But in a way, sometimes our parents also know us very well. And I also think it would have been weird if my mom knew I was a type 1 but never told me when we were talking about it that much.
Yeah, I see the family with a common language, the Enneagram as a common language, which is probably very important and a huge potential. So I love that, and it's really normal to be mistyped. There's a very skilled Danish teacher who mistyped himself, being a teacher of the Enneagram. So I'm sharing this because he shared it himself. So it's really important that even a skilled Enneagram teacher, you might have mistyped yourself. So what do you think about that, Christina?
Well, yeah, I think so. Truly, what I believe is that I see humans as like born with the capabilities of all the types. You are one type, but you're born as like a big house, a big castle. And then throughout your life, because you have these glasses on through the way you see life, you will start closing some doors. You will stop using some rooms in your big castle because you've learned, oh, as a type 1, I've learned that I have to do things correct the first time I do them. So I can't just be impulsive and do something. So I've closed the room to that capability. But as we learn about the Enneagram, we learn that we can open these rooms again. We can use the whole parts of us. We can use the good capabilities of all the types. As a type 1, I have learned a lot about myself by trying to tune into the type 8, trying to like get more of that energy and knowing what I want and taking what I want. And I wouldn't be necessarily able to learn that by just reading about the type 1. I need to know about all the types to become my full potential in that way. So I would say to someone that mistyped themselves, you've still learned a lot. You can still learn so much by reading about this type that you thought you were.
I like the idea of exploring the types. So a lot of the teachers say that we probably stay one type for the duration of our life, but we entail also all the types. So I like the idea of exploring different types. You said you explored type 8. Do you have other examples that you've been exploring?
Well, yeah, that was actually also one thing that I thought about a lot when I actually took my Enneagram practitioner with Fleming or at his course. And he also talked about that we have like a blind type. And that I also thought a lot about that, which of the types are the ones that I have the least access to? What do I use the least? And I think type 8 and 7 is the ones I use the least, which is also problematic for me as a type 1, because that means what do I even do when I become happy and healthy, right? Type 7 is one of my resource legs. And that has challenged me into trying new things and seeing the world in a different way, being like, okay, if I have to do something as a type 7, how can I make a concrete action that I can do that would challenge my rules? That I've actually sat myself down and be like, how can I consciously break a rule? Can I say, no matter what, this exam next semester, I will fail it on purpose to try and challenge the type 1 and use the type 7 more, be like, we'll figure it out. We'll do it some other time where it feels better. So that could be another example, yeah.
Yeah, I love the example. I've taken the course myself with Fleming, looking at the blind type, and I really acknowledge having look at and live the potential in my blind type, which is type 6. So I've been in this happy, dreamlike type 9, happy-go-lucky, which is not always the way to meet the world. So thank you for sharing your example, Christina. And I wish you all the best for the summer camp. And thank you for giving our youth a voice and helping youth find their way. And as Sale said in the previous presentation, it's a huge potential to use the Enneagram as a map and a tool to find oneself. And it's our mission in life. So thank you, Christina. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So we've been together, some of us, for almost 3 hours. And we've started in the East with China and looked at the president of the IA Global, Milton, and the president of China, Gloria. And we met 3 beautiful presenters in Egypt. We heard from Cape Town, Lucille, from Prague, Christina, and we've been in the Nordic now with Saleh, Twila, and Christina. So for the next 3 hours, we will be turning over to the Latin countries, and I will share just briefly, and Oscar, will you post in the chat that you need to save the date for next year. So next year we'll have the Enneagram experience, which is our global conference, and for the first time it will be in outside the US. So it will be in Laval, which is 20 minutes north of Montreal. So it will be in Canada, and we're really looking forward to having the global conference outside the US for the first time. So it will be in July next year, and you will be able to see the date in the chat shortly, and we will do a changeover. So I'm calling for Marga. Are you logged on, Marga? Yes, you are, with a beautiful background.
Hello. I just love it. I just love this concept of having these connections that we are weaving today all over the world. Thank you so much, Tom. It's been so interesting, and I
so this will be translated. It will be in Spanish and will be translated into English, which means that you have to click on the 3 dots and choose interpretation if you need English language. So anything, what will happen during the 3 hours, Marga?